right, now that we've made it through the first 5 things that people don't like about realtors, and now you know how to not be that type of realtor, we're ready to talk about your goals. So goals, uber important. You've got to know, what that drive is behind you, whether it's to put food on the table or you want to make $100,000 or $600,000, whatever your goals are, you need to have those in your mind and written down so that you have that drive to do your job. Okay, so I'm going to share with you. So my original goals were simple. It was take the kids to Disneyland, take the family to Disneyland. It was I wanted to pay off our $5,000 credit card, right? Seems simple, but it was huge at the time for us. Pay off the credit card. We had cell phone bills. We wanted to pay off the $1,000 worth of cell phone. We were making payments on the phones, so we wanted to pay off the phones. I wanted to have $5,000 in savings. And what was my last one? Pay off credit cards. We had like $8,000 worth of credit card debt that we wanted to pay off. Okay, so that was my personal reasons for why I wanted to go out and hustle. I had to have a reason to be uncomfortable, a reason to push myself into that uncomfortable zone that you're going to get into when you are doing things that you're not used to doing, and you're talking to people you're not used to talking to, and you're putting yourself out there, you're putting yourself on the line. You've got to have a really, really good drive behind that. That is key. Key. The people that I see, the agents that I see that really are kind of mushing along, that aren't really self-motivated is what people like to call it. You're not self-motivated, but if you're not driven or you don't have anything pushing you, a reason to be doing this job, it gets hard and then people will quit. So you need to have those goals, whatever they may be. And I'll tell you, my goals for my first year, 5 houses. 5 houses. That was going to replace my income. I was a medical billing. I did medical billing at home so I could take care of my children. And to replace my income was going to be about 5 transactions. Our average was about $4,500 in commission per transaction for our area. And that's actually about the national average as well. So I needed 5 houses a year, and that would replace my income. So that was great. Well, I sold 35 homes my first year. I didn't even know what to do with myself at that point, because that was an amount of money in addition to my husband's income that we lived on that we weren't expecting, and it was fun. It was really fun. Okay, so we're going to talk about being extraordinary. Planning to be extraordinary, okay? So the first thing that you need to know is the typical realtor derives, I'm going to grab this, okay, so I don't get it wrong. Okay, so the typical realtor as of 2019, typical realtor earns 15% of their business from repeat clients. The second was the average realtor earns 20% of their business through referrals from past clients and customers. Okay, so on average, the realtors are missing the mark for creating a successful, sustainable business with only a total of about 35% repeat and referral business. That means they're hustling for another 65% of their business every single year. That would become exhausting after a while if you're chasing the business all the time. So what I recognize in building my business is having a 95% referral and repeat business base after 3 years was not the normal. So what were the things I was doing that was different than anybody else? Why am I top? I'm 19 out of 12,000 realtors that we have in our MLS system. And that goes up against people that have teams. I didn't have a team. I had me. So why am I different? Why is that different? And how can you learn from that? How can you be different? You have ever bought and sold a home before. I'm not sure what your experience has been, but let me tell you what I kind of analyzed in my experiences that helped me to become a better realtor. So the most important one, and this is what most agents will do wrong, is we had one of our homes we bought, and we only lived in it for about a year and a quarter. And then we decided we didn't like that area, we wanted to move. And when it came time to put the house up for sale, I could not remember the name of my realtor at all. I didn't remember which company they worked for. I think it was a Coldwell Banker, maybe. I didn't know their name. They had not kept in contact with me at all. So, A, that agent did not have enough impact on me for me to remember them. And B, they sucked at the follow-up because they never kept in contact with me again. Lost business. That right there is lost business. So if that guy had kept in contact with me, when it's time for me to put my house up for sale, I would know exactly who to call, when to call them, and then they have that repeat client. Instead, I went and found another new agent. And the number of times that that happens is like exponential. Exponential. I receive new clients all the time, and I'm like, oh, why didn't you, who helped you buy your house? And they're like, oh, well, this person helped me buy it, but I haven't heard from him since. So, I figured, why call them back? Or they can't remember who it was. So very, very, very important in the follow-up, okay? And we're going to get to how to follow up in future lessons, but I just wanted to really bring that to light for you, okay? So how many homes does the average realtor sell in a year? So according to NAR statistics, it's 12. The average realtor will sell 12 homes in a year. So that's one a month. That's not a bad income. That's not bad. Is there potential for growth? Yes. Exponential potential for growth. Okay. So if you look, the NAR statistic is the average commission's about $4,400. So that's just over $49,000 a year in income that you would be getting if you were selling the average, which is 12 a year. So what you need to figure out is how many homes you need to sell to meet the income requirement that you need for your family, you individually. That's kind of a really good place to start with your goals. So whether it's, you want to pay off a certain amount of debt, or you want to take a certain vacation, or you just need X amount of dollars to survive everyday life, you need to figure out what that number is. So say it's $49,000 is what you need to make. And you divide that by your average commission for your area. So let's just take the NAR statistic of $4,400. And then you would have to then sell 12 units a year in order to create that income that you need. Okay? And then above and beyond that, right? So you can figure out on your own, you need to figure out how many units your goal is to sell a year. All right, so now that you've got your goals, you got your feet under you now, a little bit, you know what not to do, you know what to do now, there is going to be inevitably something, a piece of you that you need to work on, something you struggle with. So I want you to sit down, this is going to be homework, and identify the 3 top things that you struggle with, or you can potentially see yourself struggling with in this field of work, okay? So let's just kind of go through some examples. Maybe, are you afraid to be like personal? Are you afraid to ask financial questions to people? Some people don't like to talk about finances, but guess what? You're in a financial field. You're in a field where you kind of have to ask those hard questions and not be uncomfortable about it and not make your client feel uncomfortable about that. So asking the financial questions, that's really important. Are you afraid to talk to people? Or maybe do those cold calls or approach people that you maybe haven't met before, don't know. Practice. So identify the things that you think that you're going to have a hard time with. Do you have self-doubt? If you're sitting home and you're telling yourself that you can't do this or that you're going to struggle doing this, you will have a very hard time doing this. So is that a thing for you? What is it that you struggle with? You need to identify those 3 things that you're going to struggle with. Time management. A lot of people have a hard time with time management. They have a hard time not squandering their time during the day and actually getting things done to move the needle forward. You're going to have to be self-driven and find some practices, and we'll get into those as well, but you're going to have to find those practices that really will help move you forward each day, and give you that motivation to continue to work, to get to work, so that you're doing something every day, because this is a compounding business. It's not there's not one way. Is there one way? Somebody's asked me before, tell me your top 5 ways that you've, gotten to sell 120 houses. Well, guess what? There's not 5. There's not 5. That's why there's 12 classes that I teach with tons and tons of different, sections, because there's not five. There's so many different facets to this business, and to creating a sustainable business full of repeat clients and referrals. So, and getting that high sale mark. Empathy. Some people struggle with empathy. Is that what you struggle with? Like, do you have a hard time being empathetic with people? If somebody tells you that they're having a hard time with something, or something about money, or having their house cleaned, or whatever it is, and you're like, yep, all right, if you don't have empathy for that, you will have a hard time with that connection piece that we've already talked about. So identify your top three, and then you're going to work on those. And then at the end of each month, assess. Look at your top three. See where you've improved. Maybe see if there's something new that you're challenged with. Write that down, and then the next month you work on that. So you want to have those goals, and you have to assess those. You have to continue to assess those so that you can continue to make progress. Now that we've gone through what your goals are, your desires, where you're going to go, there's a little piece of the puzzle that I want to just talk to you about. So in this little bonus episode here, I want to talk to you a little bit about building confidence. So how do you build your confidence when you haven't sold, very expensive homes, or you haven't sold any homes at all, or you haven't sold a home in a certain area? How is it that you can build that confidence? So you can become the expert in your area or in any area simply by doing one very important thing: research. So you have all of this information at your fingertips. That's what you pay your local MLS for, so that you have all that information, right? You have the way to look up all the stats, all the things that have sold, all the things that are currently on the market. You can look at all that. So while you may not have a whole lot to do, or you don't have a lot to sell at the moment, you need to be researching. Okay? So you need to research what's on the market, what's gone off the market, how many days they tend to be on the market, what the trends are in the area, what's maybe missing for the area. If you're missing, certain types of homes. I know for a while, as an example, we had a lot of 2-story, 3,000 square foot or 3,500 square foot really large homes. But yet the market was all retired who wanted a single level home, or even single family who wanted a single level home. So then we had all these large homes that builders were building, but that wasn't the trend. That wasn't where we were going in the market. So paying attention to what's selling, what's not selling, how long it's taking them to sell. You need to, keep an eye on those things. What is the available inventory? So let me give you a little trick here. So you haven't sold anything, right? Or you don't sell very much, so you feel like you're not an expert in the area. So if you set yourself up on a search so that you can so for whatever area you're going to hone in on, you want to set yourself up on a inventory search, so that you are receiving via email everything new that comes on the market. Okay? You keep an eye on those things. You know what homes are hitting the market. You don't have to open them all up and look through all the pictures necessarily, but you need to just keep an eye on what's popping up new on the market. So then one day you're at the grocery store and you see somebody that you know, and they're like, hey, so gosh, there's this house that was, that came up for sale, and do you know how much it is? Oh yeah, you mean the house over on 3rd Street, the yellow one? You're talking about the yellow one? Yep, talking about the yellow one. Oh, that one's $255,000. Is that? Do you want to go take a look at it? Right there. You look like you know what's going on. Have you seen the house? Have you sold very much? No. But it's that little pieces of information that you can provide to people that makes them feel like, hey, she knows what she's talking about. She's in the game, right? Maybe I could ask her more questions. Makes them feel a little bit more confident in you. And it will help you boost your confidence as well. So simple tip for you to do. It'll help you. Just give it a shot. Now we're going to talk about 3 rules of advertising to get you started. Okay. So these are your not usual. We're not talking about, our for sale by owners yet. Nothing like that. This is 3 things that people don't really think about. So 3 rules in advertising. So the first one is keep your eyes and ears open. Listen to what's happening around you. Listen to, little eavesdropping never really hurt anybody. If you're standing in line somewhere and somebody, makes a comment about homes, pipe up and answer a question. Ask them if they need help. Don't be afraid to insert yourself. Don't be afraid to provide value. Okay, so a lot of the fear that people have is they feel like they're going to be annoying, or that people don't need them, I guess. But what you need to tell yourself and understand is you are providing help. You are providing value. That is what a good real estate agent will do, is provide those things. So when you've got somebody that's in need or has questions, or even if they're, in a for sale by owner transaction and they need a little bit of guidance, it's okay to provide some free guidance to people. Surprise! Like, nobody likes to do that because they figure they're not making any money doing it, right? But you can help other people with your knowledge, and they will have a tendency to come back to you or refer people to you because you were kind, because you weren't just treating them like a paycheck, right? So that is rule number one. Keep your eyes and ears open. How can you help people? Wake up, get yourself going on the day, and think, okay, how can I help somebody today? How can I do this? Okay. Number two, so don't beat the dead horse. I think that was a phrase that my mom used growing up. Don't beat the dead horse. So a lot of mistakes that realtors will make, especially when they're new or have a very small sphere, or very few leads to go on at the moment, is instead of branching out to expand and find more leads, they find these 5 people and they like hone in on them and hover over them, trying to get them to buy a house. If it's not time, it's not time. So provide whatever value and service you can to each of those people, but you can't force anybody to do anything right now. You can continue to feed them information, help them in whatever way is necessary or helpful for their situation at the time, and then continue to fill your pipeline. So what I hear from people is, oh, I've got these 5 buyers, and then they're just going to hang on them until one of them buys. And it could take 6 months. I've had people that have taken a year. So if you're hanging on 5 people to buy and it takes them 6 months or a year, you're going to be poor. You're going to be broke, right? And you're going to be frustrated. So continue to fill the pipeline. That's rule number 2. Okay, rule number 3. So some people, everybody has their opinion about this, but I'm going to tell you some really good stories about advertising your own billboard on your vehicle. So if it is safe in your area, then this is something that is good to do, okay? So I will post on my Facebook. I actually have my vehicles and the different vehicles I've had, but then the stickers, the vinyl that I've put on them. So originally, when I first got my license, I didn't have a lot of money. My whole first year, I didn't really spend money in advertising at all. I didn't have the money to spend. So I had gone on Vistaprint and got these magnets. This is like very 1990s, but got the magnets with my logo on it and my name. Of course, you have to have it approved by your broker. But I got those, my phone number, and I'd slap those magnets on the side of my good old van. And I would drive around with those on my van. So what's important to recognize is I didn't have a fancy car and I didn't have fancy stickers on my car. None of it was fancy. But what it was education for people that I ran into, or people that saw me in a parking lot, or people that saw me at church, or people that saw me driving around town. It was me telling them, hey, I sell homes. I can help you, right? Without me having to say to their face, this is what I do for my job. So it's a driving billboard is what it is. As I've progressed, you can get vinyl. I think I'd spent $350 on my last vinyl that I put on my car, on the windows. Same thing, has my logo, has my phone number. People see me drive around all the time. They'll see me pull into houses. They think I'm working all the time because I'm driving around, right? But I'm driving around. I could be going to the grocery store. I could be picking up kids from school. I could be doing whatever, but because they see me, people make comments all the time. You're busy. Oh my gosh, I see you everywhere. You're so busy. Well, yeah, I'm so busy. I'm driving around. But it's good. It's good advertising, okay? So I have had agents in my office, all of them have received business off of their vehicle stickers. So my very favorite, I've had a couple. So I've received a phone call driving on the freeway. Someone called me that was driving behind me, had a home that they were trying to sell for sale by owner. Did I have any buyers that maybe were interested? So I made an appointment, went and saw him. I ended up selling his house for him. Okay. Second, so one of my agents was in a gas station parking lot getting gas and was approached by the neighboring gentleman getting gas. And he struck up the conversation because he saw what she did for a living and started asking her questions about real estate. Well, lo and behold, he had a $3 million commercial listing that he asked her for help with. And then beyond that, he had a 1.2 or $1.3 million farm that he wanted to list. So she now has both of those listings all from getting gas, right? So if it's safe in your area, it has to be safe in your area. I live in Idaho, so it's not terribly unsafe, mostly around here. So if it's safe in your area, it's a good thing to do because it's you advertising yourself without having to be in everybody's face about it. All right. So those are three things that can just kind of kick you off here at the beginning to do's and don'ts a little bit of advertising as well, and just free and cheap things that can help you. So anyway, thanks for listening. Have a great day.